Okay, we're halfway through with chapter 44. They were cruising Main Street one morning, passing the Grand Movie Theater, when Piper McNabb came screaming down the middle of the empty street. He was wild-eyed and crying and soaking wet. His feet were slathered in cool black mud. He shrieked and babbled at them, but he made no sense, so they just followed him as he raced frantically back up the street. As they ran, the belch-like toot of a whistle grew louder and louder. He led them to the corner of Main and Swade, to where the platform of the P&W trolley terminal hung high above the sidewalk. Well, we know how Maniac feels about that, right? That trolley that crashed, causing his parents' death. He doesn't even look at that when he runs. Piper burst into the terminal building and up the steps. In a moment, Maniac and Mars Bar were both up there on the platform, gasping and following Piper's pointing finger down the tracks. What they saw pulled the fragments of his babble together. The boys had been playing bombs away. Piper's part was to sail the raft down the river. Russell's part was to wait on the trolley trestle that spanned the river, and when Piper passed underneath, to bomb away with a bucket full of rocks. Great plan, right? Well, everything went as planned, unless you count Russell's failing to sink the raft and Piper practically drowning trying to beach it, until Piper returned to the terminal to find Russell still hanging out above on the trestle. Apparently, without the target below to focus on, Russell had suddenly discovered how high he was. One false step, he would slip right between those ties to the river. And anybody that's afraid of heights like me, I can feel that knot in my stomach right now, just picturing being up that high and afraid to move. And that's where Russell was now, out in the middle of the trestle, high over the water, frozen in terror, not even a railing to cling to, responding neither to Piper's cries nor to the red P&W trolley, which also occupied the trestle, and it was idling and tooting its horn about 20 feet away. Piper pulled at Maniac. "Save him! Save him!" Mars Bar stared with growing astonishment at Maniac, whose wide, unblinking eyes were fixed on that trestle, yet somehow did not seem to register what was there. Nor did he seem to hear Piper pleading. When the drenched, mud-footed kid was clawing at him, he just turned without a word and left the platform and went downstairs. Shortly after, they saw him appear on the sidewalk below. He crossed Main and continued walking up the street, with Piper screaming after him from the edge of the platform. Wow, just think of that Maniac who did so much to help and to save those kids. He just couldn't do it. It had too many bad memories. And that's where chapter 44 ends. So we don't know what happened or who saved the kid or how he got saved. Chapter 45. Magee! Magee! Maniac's first groggled thought was it was the buffalo calling to him. Then he thought, oh, it's the park superintendent. He's discovered me and come to kick me out. He propped himself up on his elbow, swatted a straw from his ear, and gave a listen. Magee! Magee! It was Mars Bar. It was the second night following that morning at the trestle where Maniac had walked away. Maniac had been sleeping in the buffalo pen. He stood up. Magee! Where are you? Here, I'm over here. He headed toward the voice over the hoof-chopped earth. The moon was full, and he could see Mars Bar's dark form against the fence. Then he could see his eyes. What are you doing here? I've been looking for you. I heard you hung out here with the buffalo. Where'd you hear that? Amanda Beale, you really sleep here, man? What do you want, Mars? Where's the buffaloes? I can't see them. They're sleeping, Maniac said, like every other person that's got sense. What are you doing here at this time of night? I snuck out. If I'm not there when my parents wake up, they'll just figure I'm out running like usual. Hey, ain't you afraid in there? No. Both fell silent. Magee? Yeah? I gotta ask you something. Go ahead. Why did you leave? Why didn't you go after the kid? Why'd you just go away? Maniac didn't answer. Listen, man, I know you wasn't scared. I know it. So I had to come ask you. Maniac's voice came faintly. Is he okay? I asked you first, Mars said. Maniac drew a long breath. You want to come in? Mars Bar laughed. You kidding? Ain't no buffalo gonna eat this dude. They don't eat people. No, you come out here, man. So Maniac climbed the fence. He started to walk. Mars Bar walked with him. Maniac told him the story of his parents' death. He told him about his problem with the trestle and how he just learned to avoid it. And then all of a sudden he said, there I was on the platform looking out at it, closer than I ever was before, up on that same level. I always saw it from below, but now I was up there too, where my parents were looking down, and it was just more real than ever. The nightmare was worse. I saw the trolley coming and I saw them falling. Then they walked in silence. Mars Bar swallowed hard. His voice was hoarse. Well, I knew you wasn't scared. Maniac sniffed. I don't even remember much. Next thing I knew, I was somewhere in Swade Street. Somebody come down the East End like you did all by himself, a fish belly get all up in my face. I knew you wasn't scared. So, Maniac said, what happened? Mars Bar laughed and wagged his head. Happened? Man, I still don't believe it. That little honky, he looks at me, all his crybaby face, and says, okay, can I just go out there and get his brother? I look around like, who? Is somebody else here? I says to him, who you talking to, me? I'm just pulling his chain, only he don't know it. Because I'm a little ticked, because there he is hollering for you the whole way up the street, and there I am, standing right alongside the darn stupid white potato. You know what I'm saying? Maniac nodded, and out of the darkness came a big gulp. Mars Bar jumped. What's that? Oh, that's an emu, Maniac said there. What? Emu. Second largest bird of the world, after an ostrich. They're from Australia. I don't remember studying about that. You buddies with all these dudes? No, just the buffalo, said Maniac. So go ahead, what happened? What happened, Mars Bar snorted. What happened was I went out and rescued the dumb fish, like to get myself killed. Maniac touched Mars Bar's arm. He's okay? Mars Bar snickered. Yeah, he's okay, but that ain't the main part. The main part is how he was all grabbing me, hugging me when I took him off those tracks, shaking and shivering like he wanted to climb inside me. I was afraid. He shook his head and giggled. I was afraid that dumb fish belly was going to kiss me. They laughed. Maniac tried to picture it, the two of them making their way across the trestle, arms wrapped around each other. And even that ain't the mainest part, said Mars Bar. Even when we got off, the midget wouldn't let me go. We're off, I says to him. You're rescued. But all he does is grab me harder, like he's an octopus or something. Off the platform, down the steps, I couldn't pry him off nohow. So, Maniac said, what'd you do? What'd I do? I took him home. Maniac stopped dead. You what? Mars Bar shrugged. I figured let my mom pry him off me. Of course, the other one had to come too, but I made them leave them muddy sneakers outside. He poked his nose to a fence. What's in there? I don't see nothing. Prairie dog town. They're underground. So what then? So, Mars said, my mother took over. She pried the one off me, and as soon as she does, he jumps right onto her, like an octopus. So I go to pull him off, and she gets all mad at me and says, let him go, let him go. She gets the wet one dried off, takes off his clothes, and puts my old stuff on him. Stuff she's been saving in case I ever get a little brother someday. And I ain't even come to the craziest part yet. What's that? They didn't want to go home. They stayed all day, my mother babying them, feeding them. I tell her not to. She swats me away. Sometimes my mom ain't got no sense. Finally, my father drives them home. It's after dark. They're getting out of the car, and you know what they say to me? I'm in the car, too. He wagged his head. They asked me if I want to come in and play that game of theirs. Rebels? They beg me. They say, come on in, please. If you play with us, we'll let you be white. Can you believe that? Maniac chuckled. I believe it. They walked on. Magee? Yeah? I had to ask you something. Now I got to tell you something. What's that? You smell like a buffalo. Ears of 100 different shapes prickled at the laughter of the boys. Magee, Mars Bar said, yeah? My mother wants to ask you something too. Your mother? Yeah, like I told her about you, Anyway, she already heard about you. So she wants to know, want to come to our house. Maniac turned, stared directly at Mars Bar. Mars Bar looked away. He said nothing more. They walked on, silent among the crickets and fireflies. Wow, an invitation to go to Mars Bar's house. Didn't see that one coming. Having made a full circle around the zoo, Maniac just said, I can't. Why not? Said Mars Bar. My house not good enough? My mother? Maniac struggled for words. I didn't say I didn't want to. It's just, I don't know. Bad things happen. I can't. Look, man, Mars Bar snapped. Ain't nobody saying you gotta live with us forever. All we saying, all my mom's saying, is if you want to come for, a visit for a while. You want to? Well, you can. That's it. Don't go making a big thing, man. Ain't no big thing. Maniac shuddered. He turned his eyes to the sky, beyond the flickering fireflies to the stars. If there were answers, they were as far away as the constellations. Sorry, but I gotta go, he said. And before Mars Bar could react, Maniac jumped back over the fence and hurried for the buffalo lean-to. All right, we have one last chapter to go, chapter 46. And every time I read this book in school, I always pass out butterscotch crimpets for the last chapter. Oops, upside down. So if any of you didn't know what butterscotch crimpets are, now you know. So in case you want to try butterscotch crimpets, I have one right here beside me to enjoy as after I finish. So just keep that in mind. If you ever see them at the store, you might want to try one and see what Maniac loves so much. All right, last chapter. 46. The teeth of the buffalo clamped firmly upon his ear and lifted him up from the straw. Mars Bar was right, he thought. They do eat people. The buffalo did more than bring pain to his ears. It spoke to him. Well, ain't you nice? Ain't you nice? But the voice of the buffalo was the voice of Amanda Beale. And it wasn't its teeth. It was her fingers pulling his ear until he was sitting up straight. See that? She snapped. She scrambled his brains with a smack to his head. He'd rather she pulled his ear again. There you go, making me say ain't. I have not said that word all year long, and now you go making me so mad. She picked up a handful of straw and flung it at him. I'm sorry, he said. He wondered if he'd have better luck sleeping in the emu pen. Can I ask a question? Make it quick, she growled. Except for making you say ain't. What is it I'm saying I'm sorry for? What? She screeched. She was standing above him, her hands on her hips. You're sorry for a whole mess of things, boy. You're sorry because you didn't accept Snickers's invitation to his house. Snickers. And you're sorry because he came throwing a ball against my bedroom window and waking me up and telling me that I had to get out of my bed and sneak out of my house in the middle of the night and come out here and do something about all this. That's why you're sorry, boy. On Snickers? Oh, that's what I'm changing his name to. How bad can you act if everybody's calling you? She said it loud. Snickers. A loud voice came rasping from the fence. Shut up, girl. I love Amanda. Maniac howled with laughter. When he finally settled down, Amanda said, okay, let's go. Huh? Said Maniac. Let's go. Go where? Home. Who's home? Mine, yours, ours. Come on, Amanda said. I'm sleepy. Oh, no. Maniac opened his mouth to speak, to protest, to explain. There was just too much to make her understand, so he simply said, I can't. But then in an instant, he was bolted upright again, yanked by a hand he couldn't believe belonged to a girl. Don't tell me can't. I didn't come all the way out here in my nightshirt and slippers and climb that fence and almost kill myself so I could hear you say can't. She was yelling. Several pens away, Prairie Dog Town stirred. Heads were popping up into the moonlight. You got it all wrong, Buster. You ain't got... Oh, see? She kicked him. You made me say it again. You do not have a choice. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. You are coming home with me, and you're going to sleep in my room, which is going to be your room. And I don't care if you sleep on the floor or the windowsill or what, but you're going to sleep there and not here. And you're going to sleep there tonight and tomorrow night and every night after that. And every night after that, except maybe once in a while if you decide to sleep over at Snickers' house, if he ever even asks you again. This is not your home. Now move. She jerked him to his feet. Applause and a brief whistle came from the fence. Amanda led him by the hand across the muddy, lumpy earth. Boost me up, she commanded. He boosted her. Mars Bars helped her down the other side. Maniac hesitated and then climbed over himself. They walked through the zoo and down the boulevard, the three of them, Amanda and Mars Bar / Snickers and Maniac. Amanda grumbling all the way. You're more trouble outside the house than in it anyway. Now I'm going to have to throw these slippers away. There's probably buffalo poop all over them. And you better not come within 10 feet of me, boy, till you get a bath. Maniac said nothing. He was quite content to let Amanda do all the talking, for he knew that behind her grumbling was all he ever wanted. He knew that finally, truly, at long last, someone was calling him home. And that's it. So many of you predicted or at least hoped that he would end up living with Amanda when this is all said and done. And he is. So thanks for those of you that watch these videos every week. Thank you. And thank you for doing the forms that went along with them. I hope you all enjoyed this book as much as I do. Have a wonderful, wonderful summer. Thanks. Bye.